In August, I was up 134 hours.
How did you evolve into the theory and practice of what you're saying to actually implementing it in your trading?
Rules. Making rules to ourselves.
Why did I do that? It wasn't what I was waiting for. It's not what I studied. Why in the world did I do that?
Andrew is one of the greatest traders I've ever saw.
Andrew's never gonna live this down. Sorry, buddy. It's always gonna be brought up. Hey, what's up, traders from around the world? We have Aiman here on my right-hand side. He is across the world from me, but we wanted to do this interview for all of you to get to know your fellow BBT members and moderators, and to get insight on how Aiman is frickin' doing so amazing this last month, and how I'm jealous of him, and how he's becoming a better trader than me after less than a year, and I've been trading for over 4 years now, I think. So I want to have all of us learn together here to try to get some insight on how Aiman is doing so amazing. So thank you so much, Aiman. I know it's past midnight right now for you. So I know everyone knows who you are, but introduce yourself a little bit. Just give a little bit of your history so people can kind of relate to you're a real person. We're not just faces behind the cameras. So give us a little bit about your past and where you came from, and then we'll get into your trading, man.
Yeah, thank you for that compliment, by the way.
Yeah.
So, as you know, my name is Aiman. I'm 25 years old. I was born in Kazakhstan. I lived there for around 8 years. I studied there for my first and second class. Then I moved back to my country. By the way, my father is an Arab, and I finished my full schooling there. I started again from the first class because I didn't know Arabic. I knew only Russian. So I studied my 12 classes there. We have 12 classes. I don't know how many classes you have there. And after I finished studying, I came back to Russia. And I'm studying medicine. Now I'm in fourth year of medicine. So when I was studying my second year, maybe the third semester, year and a half medicine, I heard about Bitcoin, how people are becoming billionaires in a few months, in a few years. You know, that I think it was 2018 or 17.
Wait, billionaires? You were hearing people were becoming billionaires from Bitcoin?
Yeah, that's
Wow.
it. That was it.
Okay.
I was in a taxi sitting, and I was hearing about how people becoming billionaires in Bitcoin, just investing in thousands of dollars and becoming millionaires and billionaires. And I was, oh my God, that's really nice. I have a couple thousand of dollars, so I can become a millionaire. Maybe that will be so good. So I just tried to open an account somewhere, anywhere, to buy some Bitcoins. And I bought it when it was at $20,000, like right at the peak. And I think 2 weeks or 3 weeks after, it dropped by half. Then it dropped even more to $7,000, and I knew nothing about it. What did I do? I averaged down. Having no experience, I thought I'm the smartest guy. I'll just double my position. And
so you were at 1,000 at 20,000, and then how much more did you add? Like 1,000 more at 7,000 or something?
Yeah, that's it. I added 1,000 more.
So your average is like 14,000 or something. All right.
Yeah, something like that. It came back to 11,000 or 12,000. Was going up and down, 10,000, 12,000, 10,000, 12,000, and I just decided to get out at 11 or 12,000. And I mean, I didn't have like so much loss, not tens of thousands. I had only $500 loss by that time, I think. But still, people are becoming millionaires. Why didn't I become a millionaire? So I decided to just read about it, learn about it, and I don't know, after talking with someone who was doing really well on Bitcoins, he told me, I'm on Bitcoins and crypto coins, they're hype. When people just hear a lot about them, they spike. When it calms down, they become slow. So yes, you can make a living out of it, but I advise you to trade stocks, because stocks has been always there, the stock market. I mean, even before the internet, and I didn't know that we could trade stocks at all. One can trade futures, forex, stocks, cryptos, whatever they feel comfortable at. But I decided to read about stocks, and when I was learning about trading stocks, I didn't know that people could trade stocks. I thought you need some kind of certificate, you need to study something to get allowed to trade stocks. And I eventually just figured out it was so simple. Just open an account with a broker and trade stocks. But I knew nothing about it. I read around, let me figure out, yes, 16 books about trading stocks. Not psychology, strategies. There were a lot of complicated indicators, some complex books about writing some codes to let the algos trade for you. I read all of that, and it was so complicated until finally I came across Andrew's book, and I'm so lucky I came across that book. It was so simple, only view up, moving averages, and some kind of ABCD, double top, view up patterns. Not double tops, there was nothing about double tops, I think, but there was like view up strategies, the ABCD patterns, flags, and I was thinking, is it that simple? I mean, I've read 15 books and it was still so complicated. And is it really that simple? So I decided to just email Andrew and ask him about it. And he was so humble answering all my questions. And I decided to give it a try. I signed up, I signed up with BearBullTraders. First month was only monthly payment or subscription. And after being 1 month in BBT community, I just figured it out. I want to stay there, and I decided to upgrade my subscription to a lifetime membership. And yeah, that's how my trading started.
Got it, man. And we're going to jump ahead, and I'll briefly recap. So most people know you traded in Sim for about 8 months, and you tried really, really hard to be smart. And I remember I encouraged you so much, and a lot of people did, like, yeah, man, I can't believe you're doing it for 8 months. That's the smart way to go. Keep going, follow your rules, blah, 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 blah. You got so much encouragement to do it the slow, the hard, but the right way. So let's jump ahead from that, because I think most of us know that, and that's kind of it in a nutshell. So then you go live, and you're still under the PDT rule, using the PDT rule goal as a way to kind of, as I understand it, work on your discipline, because you only have 4 trades a week or so. So you do 4 trades live and the rest sim. You did it on specific days. So what I want is talk about not just the overall thing, but talk about how you got improvements from your trading through that discipline of having minimal trades, and how that's helped you moving forward.
Yeah, so basically when I started trading under the PDT rule. And as you said, I started trading under the PDT rule just to force myself to be patient, to be so selective. I mean, imagine it, 8 months trading in simulator, and simulator isn't real money, right? I was trading all the setups. I was having like 120 tickets, 150 tickets. I was making like 30, 40 trades a day. And I knew when I go live, I can't have that, like 40 trades a day, right. 120 tickets. I'll just eat up my account with commissions and not adding the losers that I might have when I'm going live. So yeah, I went and started trading under the PDT rule, and I started trading with my same loss I had when I was in simulator, and it was pretty much big loss. And the first month it was full red. I lost a lot of amount of money, and I just decided in the second month to decrease my share size and to decrease my risk. I knew that I worked so hard in simulator to try to do well live, and now I'm starting bad. I'm starting and aiming to make money the first month under the PDT rule. And that wasn't my goal when I forced myself to trade under the PDT rule. My goal was to teach myself patience. And since I was still teaching myself and educating myself, why did I aim and try to make money with my maximum share size and maximum loss per trade, right?
Right. And this is an important distinction. Did you have the opportunity to go above the PDT rule, but you chose not to? Or did you not have a choice? You needed to make money to get above?
I did have the ability to go over the PDT rule.
So you were really smart. You did that so you could work on your discipline, correct?
That's it. And to be honest, I needed that because I knew I have only one chance. These are all my savings through my life. It's not my college money or my life money. It's the extra money I saved to myself just to do some business, to have some plan just for my future. And you know that trading is a business, right? So instead of like opening some kind of business, I don't know, a pharmacy, a shop, or anything like that, I wanted to invest this money in a business, which is training. That business can fail, and this business can fail. But this was my full money, and I can't just blow it up. So I forced myself to trade under the PDT rule just to teach myself the thing I lack the most, patience.
Did you lack patience overall in your life in general, or only in your trading when you were trading in the sim?
It was only in the training when I was training in the sim.
Okay.
I developed that bad habit. I developed that bad habit over time. And honestly, like a lot of members were telling me, and a lot of moderators were as well was telling me that when you are trading sim, avoid developing bad habits. If you develop bad habits when you are in sim, they will stick with you when you go live. You might say, okay, it's sim. I'll just average down. I'll average up. I'll take a couple of more trades. I'll trade past my max loss per day. But no, if you just do that in simulator, I believe you will keep doing that live. And
so interesting. So you did develop some bad habits in sim, but then were you kind of forced out of those bad habits when you went to under PDT live? Because you could still have a choice and just do stupid things and hit your loss, every day in one trade, but it kind of forces you to be smarter, more selective. So did you lose your bad habits through that process and start to gain really good habits for the future?
Well, I became more patient over like 4 months trading under the PDT rule. And honestly, that bad habit still comes back sometimes.
Of course, man. Of course they do.
So I was trading under the PDT rule for 4 or 5 months, 3 trades a day, no more than that. And once I came back live, I think the first 2 weeks without the PDT rule, I was having only 5 trades a day, no more than 5 trades. Whether they're winners, losers, I'm at my goal, below my goal, 5 trades, then that was it. But now I'm still getting like more trades or less trades. They're not as much as they were in simulator. I can see progress, and as long as I'm seeing progress, I'm happy with that. But I'm trying to force myself not to overtrade at all.
Okay, man, so you really learned some discipline, some patience, you did everything the smart way, then you finally hit your number of getting over PDT rule, and now you can trade live and you can do whatever the heck you want, right? So let's again jump past whatever happened right in the beginning, because I want to focus on what has helped you to become, honestly, very, very successful in a very short amount of time. 8 months in sim and 4 months in sim slash P under PD2 that's a year. That's still not very long, but it is a year. But really, since you've been live is what I'm talking about. You've killed it since you've been live. So first, how many R's were you up after you finished the month of August? Throughout the whole month, how many R's were you up?
In August, I was up 134 R's.
134 R's. Now, explain to people who don't know what that means as concisely as possible for them, because some people still don't understand that concept.
So, guys, if we think about, some do trade fixed amount of share size, right? Like 50 shares whenever.
100 shares, 1,000 shares, yeah.
Yeah, that's it, doesn't matter. Some, and me, one of them, trading in R's. What's R's? An R is the risk. The risk you are willing to give to the market when you are losing. And it just depends on your personality. It can be $50 per trade. It can be $100 per trade. It can be $250 per trade. And
can it be $5 per trade for a new trader?
It can be $5. It can be, I don't know, if you want to make it less, just make it less than $5 per trade when you're starting. You don't need to start risking $100 and don't need to just greed. When I started so small, and then just with time started increasing my risk. When I started finding consistency. So the R is the amount of money you are willing to risk per trade. And what's your target? For me, my target is never less than 2 Rs. I never start partialing if I don't hit my 2R. Why is that? Because if you have 34% win rate, 33% win rate, you are at break even, 34% win rate, and you are profitable. So you don't need to have a huge percentage win rate. You don't need to have 50% winners, 60% winners, 34%, and you are profitable. But I know not all of the time when you hit the 2-to-1.
Right.
you'll get the 2-to-1, right? Because we're partially at 2-to-1, and then it gets back to our break even, and we're ending up having 1-to-1, right?
Right.
It just depends. But again, I just tried my best not to partial before I hit my 2-to-1, and now I'm increasing that 3-to-1, 4-to-1, and so on.
I know,
and
5-to-1, 6-to-1, 10-to-1. Yeah, I know, man. Okay, so for peeps, so R equals how much in dollars you're willing to lose if you're wrong. So why did you decide to change? Because I'm pretty sure you didn't start like that, from a fixed share size to an R risk, which will then calculate your share size for you. Why did you transition? And was that one of the things that you think has drastically made you to improve your trading in a very short amount of time?
I think that's the main thing which made me profitable and consistent and starting to see green in my account. And just think about it. If we trade fixed amount of shares, let's say 100 shares all the time, right? And imagine you get 100 shares on AMD, for example. If you get 30 cents move, which is really good on AMD, right? 30 cents, 30 cents. I mean, it's pretty much good. It's so rare to find AMD to go $1, $2.
Yeah, you make 30 bucks right there. Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll make 30 bucks. Now, let's say you take 100 shares on Roku.
No, okay, Roku's good. I was gonna say Tesla. Tesla's the one that burned me, but either way, it doesn't matter. Either way, okay, go on. Right?
Tesla or Amazon, I don't know.
Oh no, never Amazon. Okay.
Never Amazon. For example, Tesla. Tesla, in 1 minute, just in one spike, it can drop $2.
1 minute in like 10 seconds. Sometimes.
In 10 seconds, yeah, it can just do it in a matter of seconds. And it can drop $1. And with these 100 shares, in 10 seconds, if it drops only $1, you'll be down $100. So you'll need 3 winners or 4 winners on AMD to be green, and only 1 loser on Tesla, and it will wipe it all out. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And when I was losing on Tesla, for example, and making money on AMD, I knew that on AMD with 100 shares, I will not be able to make the money back. So I will force myself to trade Tesla. Even when I don't see a setup there, because I know I can make the money back on Tesla if I win.
The only way, yeah.
Yeah, but I can't make the money back if I trade AMD. So this was, and I knew that there is something wrong. I mean, it can't be this way, right? People are making money trading. Andrew is trading MU, and he's trading low floats, and sometimes he's not trading low floats like most of the time, but he can do it.
He has, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, and he's still making money. So why can't I make money? And I figured out that with having fixed amount of dollar risk per trade, this thing will fix my problem. And I can take like 300 shares on AMD. And when I trade or 500 or 1,000, doesn't really matter. But on Tesla, I'll just take less amount of shares.
Right, and so now we have this mechanical way to do this through DOS. We don't need to go over that because we have a video out and a lot of people know about it. And we'll put a link in the description for that mechanical way in DOS to do it. It's really cool. Okay, so number 1, you just said it. I want to make sure it's clear because I'm going to ask you the second and third. You have 134 Rs in August, and you say you would attribute that success most predominantly to your ability to enter into trades with a fixed R. I wanna make sure we're saying the right thing here, so anyone who's watching this can start to realize, like, okay, this really helped this guy. I want to consider this. Is that your number 1 thing that you would say?
Definitely, that's the number 1 thing which improved my trading. Once I moved to R's.
I thought it was just me. I thought you were going to say I was the number 1 thing that improved your trading. And anything else was second and third. I'm kidding. Okay, so number 1, great. I do it too. I could list off a ton of people on more than my fingers on how it improved their trading greatly. So what's a second thing that you think that you can share with people that has improved your trading more than anything else besides ours?
Never chase a stock when it goes against you. That, like, don't chase stock or enter on pullbacks. The same thing. Because when I was chasing a stock, seeing a stock just popping out, and I get in once it just made some kind of move, I will, like 80% of the time, 70% of the time, get stopped out on the first pullback it makes.
Right, right. Okay, so I think that's going to be confusing to some people. So you're saying don't chase a stock, and then you said get on a pullback. So give me an example of what you mean by what does it mean to chase a stock?
To chase a stock for me is getting in when it's so extended from the first or the closest technical support.
Okay, now could another way you say that, let's say you have a pattern that you're looking for, and then it's already moved far away from your perfect entry for that pattern, and now you're chasing it because you're getting FOMO and it's moving without you.
That's it. Basically that's it. Because I mean we are day traders and we try to trade only setups which other day traders see. And if we saw some kind of setup, we wanted to take it, but for some reason we didn't take it. Maybe we hesitated, maybe we weren't like sure for 70, 80, 100%. And eventually it did what we thought it was going to do. And now it's too late to take or to enter that trade. That's what can cause us to lose money. So basically, if you see a setup, it just goes without you, don't go after it, because that setup was there, it went without you. You should accept that, and you can always get back, by the way, only on a pullback, because after pullbacks it will form some kind of an ABCD pattern, and you can get the risk to reward after that.
Right, Aiman. So you can imagine right here, right? If your perfect entry was like the break of this because it was that high, but then you chased it, you get up here, and then it does the pullback there and it stops you out, right? And then it makes the move that you were intending. Is that exactly kind of what you're referring to?
That's it, yeah.
Right. It's happened all the time to me, and every new and intermediate trader in the world that does that, man, that's a nutshell. That's a story in a nutshell. We all experience that. So then how did you overcome that?
Basically, I overcome that by trading only setups. Only setups. If I see a setup, and I have my favorite setups, like I think you guys know my most favorite setups are ascending, descending triangles, ABCD patterns, flags, basically the breakout setups. And if I see a setup, I take it. If the setup is already gone, it means that the setup is already broken, or I should wait for the next setup to go. That was basically how I overcome this problem. Trade only setups.
Seems so simple, right? Whether you're wrong or right on a setup, make your next trade not a FOMO trade, not a revenge trade, not a bag hold or just like a averaging down trade or emotional trade. Just make it another independent setup that you've studied for days, weeks, months, and years in simulator under the PD tool and live, right? Just make each trade independent. Like, wouldn't it be beautiful, Aiman, if it was that easy for everyone?
I wish, yeah, it would have been, but it is much more difficult than that. I know that. And there is one thing I also suffered from when I was sitting behind the screen for a long time. As I said, trade only setups, right? But sometimes I can't see the setup I'm trading, but I see some sort of setups I'm not trading a lot. Double tops, I don't know, maybe some kind of other breakouts I'm not trading, the shooting stars at the top of the trends. I know what the setup is, but I'm not trading it a lot. So basically, okay, this is a setup and I can trade it. And then I get into the setup and I fail or I lose money.
Right,
so basically, yeah, it's a setup, but it's not something I'm good at. Yeah, so basically, yeah, trade only setups and trade the setups you're good at. If you don't find setup you like, just don't trade it.
So let's get in just a little deeper. I get what you're saying. Aiman's second tip that helped him the most is don't chase a stock, wait for the pullback, and how he did that was he only trades setups. But Aiman, there was a time, I'm sure, when you had the hard time with that, right? Like what you just described. Whether it's you just trade non-setups, you chase, or you trade other people's setups. What exactly happened? How did you evolve into the theory and practice of what you're saying to actually implementing it in your trading? Because, man, you're so new and you don't have these bad habits that a lot of us have done for years that it's probably not as significant to you. But for a lot of us, we will go through that process and just do the same thing day in, day out, week in, month out, year in, year out, and it never changes. We can't go from the theory to the executable action. So what helped you to make that leap in your trading?
Rules. making rules to ourselves. For example, as I said, trade only setups, right?
Mm.
And to trade only setups, I made a rule for myself. Don't make more than 5 trades a day, for example. 5 trades a day. And when I know that I have only 5 trades a day, I know that if I will waste those trades on some kind of B setups, setups I don't trade, I will not have the chance to take the setup I like when I see it, because I already used my 5 trades which I'm allowed to use. So basically, to go from theory to practice, I made rules, and those rules don't come overnight like all the rules. They come with time, with practicing. You see what you are doing wrong, you go over it, and then you say, okay, I don't want to do this, so basically I'll have this rule and I'll try my best to implement this rule on my next day, my next training, my next training day, my next training week. So with time, those rules adds up and adds up and adds up, and the more we practice them, the more we force ourselves to do them, the better we become. I know it's impossible, like to follow those rules one all the time, right? I mean, we have them. We know when we're doing the right thing, and we know when we're doing the wrong thing, but we try our best to just follow our rules.
Okay, man, I'm gonna go one level deeper here. What's the difference between making the leap from taking your setup trade in theory to taking your setup trade in theory, compared to following your rules in theory and then following your rules in practice? Why don't you just say, okay, I have my rules, or you can just have your rules and break your rules? How did you learn to follow your rules then, is the question.
I learned to follow my rules after losing. So basically, when I break my rules and I lose, I feel so bad about it. I mean, I know that I was doing something wrong, and I still hit the trigger and I broke my rule. And after breaking my rule, I paid for it. So basically, we do have the rules, but we don't learn by only having the rules. We learn after paying or making some kind of mistake. And for me, I don't really regret losing money on when I take a good setup, because I know that this setup had everything in it. I hit the trigger and now I just wait either to get stopped out or wait to my target, or to wait for the market to tell me something that this setup is not working anymore. But if I break my rules and I knew that I break them and then eventually I lost money on that, I will feel so bad about it.
Okay, and that only works if you have confidence that you're a smart trader. If you break your rules and you lose money, but you don't think you're a good trader, that's one thing. But if you know how to trade, you know the setups, you know that you've studied for hours and hours at all times a day to wait for certain things to appear, and you don't have the patience for that, that's what really, I think, how losses materialize into finding success. Because every time you stop trading that day and you just did your stupid things, you're like, why did I do that? It wasn't what I was waiting for. It's not what I studied. Why in the world did I do that? I'm not going to do that next time. Although we still do sometimes, but over time, I think that's how you hold to rules, when you have confidence in your ability from all the education and studying and trust you have for yourself. I think that's how people can make the leap. What do you think about that?
I definitely agree with that. Once you are aware of it, once you are aware of the things you're doing correctly and doing it bad, you will be able to just hold yourself better. And as William said, you will not just overcome it in overnight, but at least you will be doing it less and less and less over time. And that's the progress and that's the improvement.
Definitely. So we've got risk per trade. We've got don't chase stocks, wait for pullbacks, which include being disciplined to follow your rule and only take setups you study for. So that's a lot right there. Now, what about number 3?
And number 3 is something we always hear about. Cut your losses and let your winners run, right?
Right. You know how many videos I have not edited yet and recorded, and what you've seen of people blowing up, going past their max loss and not cutting their losers short? It's the real thing, man.
It's a rule all of us know, but so hard to implement sometimes because psychology is so involved right there. So for me, like, since the first day I went live, I never let the stock go past my max loss per trade. Never. So it's always the amount I was willing to risk. And to do that, I do have hard stops. I think I can get out when I have a mental stop loss, but I don't want to even try it. I always put hard stops. If the price just goes against me, I will be forced to get out. I never even cancel my stop loss. Sometimes the stock goes in my direction. I get some partial, it goes or starts to pull back, and I see it getting closer to my break even. And this is another rule I have. If the stock goes in my direction and I partial, then it goes back to my break even, I just get out. This is one of my rules, and I never break it. So sometimes I know it will go down, it will bounce from that level or from the support, which was below my entry, my original stop loss, and continue go higher. But I tell myself, okay, this is my rule, and this is something I want to always follow. And I can always re-enter. I will get out, break even, and I will re-enter again with a new stop loss, but I will never break the rule.
Right, Aiman. And as a member of any community, you know, BBT in specific, in this example, you have the benefit of, because you've told me this, how, I wonder if you'll be able to give the answer that I'm thinking you're going to give. How have you used our community to understand the importance of that rule?
Well, being a part of community is one of the best things I could have ever done. And this is because I learned from other traders' mistakes.
Exactly. That's what you tell me all the time.
I didn't have to do all the mistakes by myself to learn from them. I saw people telling their stories. I saw people just writing in the chat room that they are in a trade and they're stuck in it, and now it's going past their loss. I saw people were averaging down. I mean, we remember even Andrew, who is our teacher, who is like I know Andrew is one of the greatest traders I've ever saw, and even Andrew was able to average up on Yelp trade, and I saw how that happened live.
Andrew's never gonna live this down. Sorry, buddy. It's always gonna be brought up.
I'm sorry, Andrew. But I know it was a loss for Andrew, but I'm really happy and glad I could see it live. So maybe Andrew felt really bad that he did this when he was in the trade, but I'm really grateful that I could see it live because it taught me something. It taught me live what a trade or averaging could do to an account, to someone's account. So basically, never average down, respect your stop losses. All of that I learned because I was in the community, and I'm really glad I started trading in the community. Honestly, I didn't trade, not in simulators, not live, before I joined BBT. So I joined BBT. I read the chat room. I was watching Andrew trading live for a couple of weeks, and only then I started trading, and I was learning from my mistakes. I was more learning from other people's mistakes, from moderators' mistakes. I think I learned more from people's mistakes than I learned from people's great trades.
Yeah, okay. Now let's take this one step further and tell people, you know, I text you in the chat, I text you over Messenger, I give you audio messages, and I call you on the phone from LA to Russia. Not to tell you anything except random things about one point I try to instill in you. And maybe I just annoy you. You know, maybe you're like, oh God, he's calling to tell me the same thing again. But tell them what I try to harp on you more than anything else to help your trading.
Never develop bad habits. Like, if you start it correctly, if you don't have bad habits, I mean, I do have some bad habits, but at least, like, don't start new bad habits. And one of the main things, don't let the stock go past your max loss, or not only max loss per trade, max loss per day.
Exactly.
If you hit your max loss per day, just get out. Keep your losses small. I mean, if you are red today, if you are red the next day, you will still be able to make it up on the next day and maybe the day after, but at least you'll keep your losses small. And you need to keep your losses small just to be able to become profitable in the long run.
Right. So even I know you're having like a hard day and you're down like one more trade will hit your max loss, and I know this, then we don't talk, and I call you back later. How did you do? Like, did you hit max loss? Are you still trading, man? What happened? Like, it's like the most critical thing for any trader. And if you've never done it since going live, have you ever gone past max loss since going live above the PDT rule?
I never went
Okay.
above the max loss.
And I'll tell you this, guys, I work with animals, and the sad truth is, once a dog bites once, oh my goodness, they're just so much more likely to bite again, and they can no longer be 100% trustworthy. And that's how it is with this max loss issue for us. Once we go over max loss once, we try to tell ourselves, now we learned the lesson. I feel this pain. I am never doing this again. I'll record myself talking about it. I'll tell my friends. I'll share it with my family. I'll look at my bank account. But it's not like that. Once we do it once, we've proven to ourselves the ability to break our number one most important rule. And it does not mean now we won't break it. It means, well, now we can break it again in the future because we've already proven that we can. So that's a huge distinction that I think a lot of people get wrong. And I've only learned that through my experience and from hearing so many other people's experience, which is why I try to hammer it into Aiman over here. Never do it once. The pain of having to accept your max loss and walk away is 1,000,000,000 times easier to deal with than breaking max loss and then breaking it again and again and again in the future.
And I'm really grateful to that, actually.
Cool.
No, I'm really, it is a good reminder. I mean, sometimes it just slips through your head. I know that I am respecting my max loss per day, but once you just get it over and over, it's like a good reminder. Not only that, I mean, also we have the confessions with traders, we have the talk with traders, and if you guys didn't listen to them, I do recommend you just listen to those talk with traders, because there is a lot of valuable information. There is a lot of good lessons you might learn about. It's just that the human nature we have in ourselves, like, okay, this will not happen to me. It will not happen to me if I do it only one time, right? But that one time you're doing it, it can just mess up your account totally.
Yeah, man. All right. So I asked you for your top 3, but sometimes like things on the internet, they do like the top 10, the top 5, and then a bonus one like that barely missed the cuff. So what would your bonus tip be? That's, not quite as important as your top 3, but it sure has helped your trading that you can share with people.
Well, it's something similar to what I said, but never trade feelings. Feelings, I mean, sometimes when we are watching the chart, when you see the white candle, you feel that it's going to pop up, right? Mm-hmm. Once you see the red candle, it's going to drop down, right? And that was something I was doing when I was in simulator. I see the white candle, I get in long. It starts going against me. I see the red candle, okay, it's going to drop. I get out, flip position, go short. Right. White candle, go long. So basically, don't trade feelings. Just that's it. That's my bonus. Let your feelings aside.
That's perfect, man. Great. No, these are some executable things that people can work in their trading, and a lot of them are very simple, but the most powerful things sometimes are the most simplistic and obvious things that we hear all the time. But Aiman over here is an example of someone putting that into practice and doing everything from the right way, and then slowly building up the risk and then having great success. Now, Aiman, here's the next thing that you need to, I want you to be aware of, because it happened to me and it's happened to a lot of people. As soon as we find success, you know what's going to happen? You're going to be like, I'm the boss. I know what I'm doing. Look at this interview, 134 hours. Oh, like, William, you used to talk with me and help me, right? And now I'm mentoring my own people and I'm talking with other traders. I do this interview. I help them. They tell me how good they do. People are asking me, really, you got 134R, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to get into your head, man. It really is. And this is the next psychological battle that, as a young, successful trader that doesn't know anything but that almost, I know you had some issues when you were under the PDT rule, but that's the next thing that that I want you to be aware of, that's going to come up and you're going to have to face. Have you faced it yet? Are you aware of it? Or any thoughts on that?
I didn't face it yet, but I heard about it. And I know that, honestly, I have been consistent since the day I maybe 3rd month live, and I've been consistent since that month. I didn't have a red month at all. And this is something in my head, like building right now. I can't have a red month, or I can't have a red week. Not that I don't want to, I just believe that I'm good at the markets, as you said, the ego, right? But I know I will try my best if I get to this point where I am ready, just not to be overconfident and to force myself into the market. If the market tells me that I'm wrong, that this month you will be red, I'll try my best to accept it. I will not just let myself over the market.
Definitely, man. And think about it like this. Did you get to where you are right now from being overconfident?
Nah, definitely. It's not because I was overconfident. It's because I followed my rules.
Exactly. So now that you're successful, and do you think now you get to break and bend your rules because you're so confident? Is that what's going to lead to future success?
Definitely not. I mean, I am where I am now because I followed my rules. I followed my plan. I had a long educational journey. I won't say it was too long. I mean, 1 year. So, but still, it was 1 year, and I put a lot of effort in it. I kept adjusting my rules, my favorite setups, just tried my best to get myself to where I am right now. And if I break my rules, it means that I'm breaking the ladder I built to myself just to get up, isn't it?
Definitely, man. Really great. So thank you so much. You want to finish it off with anything you want to say? The floor is yours.
Well, thank you, William, for this interview, and thank you, BBT, because our community did help me a lot to get where I am today. And I do really advise all the traders, just follow your rules, follow your plan, don't give up. And sometimes some traders, they become consistent and green in maybe a couple of months, 3 months, but don't get discouraged of that. Some just take a little bit longer time, 1 year, 2 years. But don't rush making money of the market, because trading is a business. You need to put your time and effort learning it, studying it, practicing it. Just give it the time it needs. Don't get greedy. Don't run after money. I know we're doing it just to make money eventually, right? But give it its time. Don't blow up your account and then regret it.
Well said, man. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you, William. Good night.